And I know there's at least two families, or maybe more, in the Coleman Woods that have issues involving detention ponds that you may not realize. But I want to go back to zoning, because he said, I think Dale said, it's to protect. I went out and took pictures. Okay, I'm going to pass this one around. This is over on Timberline Court in Cleves, of a deck that's looking like it's ready to fall off. Now, my view of a village administrator, and I'm going to tell you, I'm no fan of Mike Grayhall, so I'm going to say to you straight up.
I don't know if anybody here is.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm going to tell you, you don't wind up sitting in your office and finding out what is or isn't happening in the village. That's an issue. You're going to see that when it goes by. This, I want to ask anybody, this is all Cleve stuff here. I'm going to start this one over here. All right? And this one I'll start over here. There's two of them here. This is the new privacy fence over here at 119 North Miami. For those of you that don't live down here, you need to understand this is a different world. It's absolutely a different world. And it's one of the reasons why, and here I am from Coleman Woods, saying you need different people than all Coleman Woods people on council. Or the council members that are there need to get downtown and start paying attention to what's going on. One or the other. But this particular property has been a problem for years. In fact, right before the police were disbanded, they busted that property, and they probably should have all been in jail. Okay, they were locked up. They were felony accounts. $250,000 worth of tools and things stolen and recovered, but it never got prosecuted. Yes, I even have the email from the prosecuting attorney because I talked to her personally. Couldn't get the people to show up to court. Why? Well, police are gone. That leaves you with the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department's not the one who arrested them. You know, there's consequences to things. So this has been a problem going on, this 119 North Miami. And we're not just talking about any little thing. There's an article on one of these, I believe maybe this one. I'm gonna pass that around, maybe in this one, I'll pass that around too. It'll be in one of these two. But we had an overdose at that property in the shed. There are homeless people that have been living there, and yes, homeless people come and they go. They disappear, okay? And yes, whenever the sheriff's department went over there, most of the time, they couldn't find them, but they eventually did. And there were some things that the village actually did to help that happen, okay? Get some of that cleaned up. The problem with it is, it's a drug haven. So you had a girl there who's no longer alive, okay, that OD'd in that shed that will be in one of these articles. Okay? I have the police report. According to the Seeley family, they don't do drugs. But I also have it in the police report that they administered, and I'm talking about the Seeleys, 3 Narcan doses to bring her back. That's all in the police report. You don't ever have that type of detail if you've ever gone to a Cleves council meeting. You don't get that type of detail from Sergeant Hahn. He doesn't go through all that stuff. But it's there. If you want to get the information, it's there. So she disappears for 10 days, eventually is found out dead out here by where the pilot place is, out there going towards the park. Okay? They still haven't solved that. There's issues down here in this village that need attention. And I'm not saying those issues didn't exist when the Cleves Police Department was here. Please understand that. They did exist. Those are not easy problems to always solve. But at least you have control over your police force. I don't believe we have control. They answer to the county commissioners, not to the mayor, who, by the way, if you look at the Ohio Revised Code, has police powers. The mayor has police powers, as much as the sheriff does. I'm not asking for that role. I'm just telling you that's the way the Ohio Revised Code works. So when you take a look at some of the issues going back and forth between Miami Township, if you think you're going to get away from the zoning issues by going to Miami Township, I'm going to be passing these pictures out. These are all Miami Township. This one actually is right by the old middle school, okay, right on Bridgetown Road. This one is right across from Shady, the fire department, right across from the fire department there on Shady Lane. And this little lovely structure is out on Jordan Road. I want you to think about the Coleman Woods residents, because you do not have a homeowners association. And the village is not going to be able to protect your property if you wind up. And if you think it can't happen in a nice subdivision, go up Brunsden Way. You're going to see some of that junk up there too. That's in Miami Township also. Nobody wants to be living next door to that kind of stuff. They don't want it in Miami Township either, but they got a problem. They got to send it down to the municipal court. That costs money, and they've got one guy who comes out, what, once a week? You can't have zoning. And some in Miami Township don't have any zoning code at all.
No, and they can't get it passed or adopted. Can I share one story?
Sure, go right ahead, buddy.
I was the clerk treasurer from 1997 to 2015. And I got a phone call one day from a Coleman Woods resident because we had a zoning ordinance, no livestock in the village of Cleves. And they said, we've got a problem. We're sitting in our backyard and we're hearing oink, 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 oink. They said, I think somebody along Bridgetown Road has a pig. And it wasn't a little pet pig, it was a full-size pig that they had put a shed in the very end of their property, I guess, and made a pig pen, and they had a full-size pig in the back of their yard, but it butted right up against the property there in Coleman Woods. So with our zoning ordinance, we were able to find a way to convince that gentleman that he legally had to get rid of his pig. But we've had goat complaints, so it can filter out to where it affects. Even if I live in the subdivision, I live in Westgate, I though have to drive through the heart of town to get to work, to get to the grocery store. I can't avoid what's going on down there. But I just wanted to share that story because that's one of the things that you can resolve with a zoning ordinance and a way to cite someone to a mayor's court if they don't comply.
Home rule's the answer.
Well, we're an incorporated